Tage Thompson back in the lineup, and a bet of the night that I feel better about than any all season, which means we're probably going to lose it. But we'll find out together coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome in Wednesday game day edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you listen to your podcast. Be sure to give us a 5-star rating if you like the show. Leave us a review if you like, and also do the same on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe the show, and you can watch us there. And more than that, if you like listening to the show and you want ad-free versions of the show, and maybe you want to get into our Locked On Sabres Discord. I know we had a couple of newcomers into our Discord today, and we've been having some fun talking about games and, games that guys are going to upcoming and bets and whatnot, all in our Locked On Sabres Discord. And now, again, is the time, because if you get in now, then you get a month free. We got a promo running right now, so head to lockedonsabres.supercast.com and you get a month free. Hit that subscribe now button and see if you like it. If you don't, then you can cancel it. And if you do, then you stick around, hang out with us, and it's a couple of bucks a month after that first month. So a lot of good features to get to on that. Sneaky Joe DiBiase on today's show. The Sabres and the Devils get the NHL season rolling again. They are the first game that gets in action tonight. There are 3 other games in the NHL. Actually, no, there are a few. There are only 4 other teams in the Eastern Conference that are playing tonight, and we'll talk about rooting interest for that a little bit later on today's show. A 7:10 puck drop in Jersey. There will be some sort of pregame ceremony in Jersey at 6:45. I'm confident that MSG will be carrying that. I mean, MSG is also the network partner of the New Jersey Devils, so I'd imagine whatever feed that is could very easily be, thrown over the Sabres way. So I'd expect that. And I'm curious to see what kind of ceremony we'll get, because if Tage Thompson is involved, that should give us a good sign of what the Sabres will have in store for us next week when they host the Vegas Golden Knights. And is Tage involved? I think he probably would be. He was on Team USA, and they're doing it 25 minutes before the game, so you have opportunity to congratulate more than one person. Probably bring Hughes out first, and then maybe Thompson, and have them both together, and some sort of ceremonial face-off feels right. But again, we'll see what they end up doing. So Thompson is in the lineup. Jack Hughes is in the lineup. We'll talk about the lineups, the line combinations, which we are getting a full look at for the first time, and also what's been going on with the Devils before we get to my bet of the night. Hang out for later on. I love this bet more than I'm not being prisoner of the moment. I love this bet more than any bet I've given all season long. Doesn't mean it's going to cash, but I like it a lot. And we are still, we're in the plus territory on the season. We're plus 8.0 units right on the dot coming out of this break. So let's see if we can get that back up to double digits. And I will tell you now, if we hit this one tonight, we are way into the double digits, and we'll be there for the rest of the season if we are to hit this one tonight. So that's coming up a little bit later on. So all that ahead, Sabres and Devils. Tage on the ice at the morning skate. He is going to play tonight. Now, a little bit of an interesting factor into that from Lindy Ruff is, yes, he'll play, but he might have his minutes limited a bit. Now, he's going to play that out as it goes. He is centering the top line for tonight's game with Alex Tuch on the right and Peyton Krebs on the left. We are closer to the line combinations that we saw during the 10-game win streak than anything else we've seen, because Peyton Krebs is on the top line on the wing with Tage and Tuch. That's a line that stuck together, except I think it was Doan on the right side, mostly with Tage during that win streak. But it was a Thompson-Krebs combo that was working pretty well together. I still don't like Krebs on a top line, and I think I'd like to see the Sabres add something at the deadline that could replace Krebs in a role like that. Maybe they like someone who's that type of player, but has a little bit more skill. Nazem Kadri is a name that I'm going to want to talk about in the next week, and we'll do that on our next show that focuses on the trade deadline. Nazem Kadri, to me, is a Peyton Krebs-style player in terms of feistiness and forechecking and defense and physicality, and neither guy's really that big. Kadri's bigger than Krebs, but Kadri comes with way more skill and finishing ability than Krebs does. So, I'm okay with Krebs here in a game-by-game basis. I just still don't like him long-term on that top line. The other lines that we are looking at for tonight's game features Ryan McLeod centering Jason Zucker and Jack Quinn. And that line's played together a little bit. It's kind of a defense-oriented line with McLeod and Zucker, but Quinn is the worst defensive forward on the team. So that line is kind of a little bit back and forth. I would say that Quinn on that line, it does get him into a position where he could be the shooter. And also he has two guys that can help him out with being a player that is lacking in the defensive area of his game. I mean, McLeod is the best defensive forward they have on the team. So those two together, maybe they kind of, McLeod helps Quinn with his weaknesses. The line I like a lot for tonight's game, and this will lead us later on to my bet of the night. Josh Norris back in the lineup, hasn't played in a long time. In fact, how long has it been? Because he was just about to return before the Olympic break. They decided to hold him out. He has not played since January 14th against the Flyers. That was over a month ago. And I don't know how I'm supposed to expect that he'll play the rest of the season, because he played one game at the beginning of the year and then he went out with an injury and was gone for a month plus. And then he played 18 games. All right, nice. 18 games, bam, right back down. Like, how many games in a row? What should the over-under be on Josh Norris games played before he leaves again with another injury? Is 18 and a half a good number? Like, I would take 20 maybe right now from Norris in a row. That's how much of an injury risk he is. But I've liked him when he's played 17 points in 19 games. The only thing I'd really like to see more of from Josh Norris, because at 5-on-5, I've liked him, it's power play. I was hoping he could be a solution to the power play this year. We haven't got to see a ton of him on it, but even when he did play on it, it didn't look significantly better. He will be back on that top unit. So I'm hoping to see a little more from Norris on that unit. But I do like the line he's on, with Noah Ostlund on the left and Josh Doan on the right. To me, that is their most complete line. I like the defensive ability of all three. I like the scoring ability of all three. I like the playmaking ability of all three. I like the skating ability, the speed. Doan's giving you that physicality. The other two, not as much. But, man, I like all three of those guys together. And if Norris can stay healthy, that could be a line that works for, like, the remainder of the season. So, really like that line that Lindy threw together. And then your fourth line for tonight, Tyson Kozak down the middle, Beck Malenstein on the right. That guy needed a rest. He was a wrecking ball in every game down the stretch going into the Olympics. And then Josh Dunn is also expected to return to the lineup. He has been out for a while as well. He's played 28 games this year. I've liked him in a fourth line role, penalty kill a little bit as well. So that's what you're looking at for lines. And then in net, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen gets the first crack at it out of the break. He dealt with injury before the break. They're throwing him into the mix. I don't think this has to tell you anything about who the number one is. I don't really think we're playing that game anymore. To me, the only game we're playing, because I think Luukkonen and Lyon, for the time being, 1A, 1B. And I'm not even going to make one of them 1A and the other 1B. Like, to me, they are neck and neck right now for that job. Who's the guy to go to? Who's the night one playoff starter? They're on an even playing field. To me, the thing to know right now about their goalie situation just is that Colton Ellis is still the definitive number 3 guy. And to me, when the other two are healthy, Ellis is not in the rotation. But you haven't had a lot of times this year where all three of them have been healthy. So we'll see. Will they just eliminate Ellis from the rotation for the rest of the year if everybody stays healthy? I think that's possible. Sure, I think it's also possible that if one of the two, Lyon, Luukkonen, struggle in a game or two in a row, then that would open the door for Ellis to get one of their starts. That is kind of how I view it. These two will go back and forth, Lyon and Luukkonen. If they both play well and stay consistent, Ellis doesn't go back in. If one of them gets injured, Ellis goes back in. if one of them has 2 bad games in a row, the next game that guy is supposed to start, you would, in my mind, give to Ellis. That's how I would play goalie going forward. We'll see if any of that changes at the deadline too as well. But it's Luukkonen that gets the first crack at it, which I guess we also could get into what they'll do on a back-to-back. Would they go 1, 2, 3? I think they'll do what I just said. I think they'll go 1, 2, 1, 2. So Luukkonen tonight against New Jersey. I would expect Luukkonen to play again Saturday against the Lightning, and I'd expect Lyon to go against Florida on Friday, and then Lyon to go on Tuesday against Vegas. And for now, Ellis just hangs out and watches and waits for a chance. That's what I think you'll get. So I like the lineup for the most part. The defense pairings, you want a quick reminder on that? It has been a while, right? 3 weeks. The defense pairings just haven't really changed all year. But Samuelsson and Dahlin, Byram and Power, and the third pair, Michael Kesselring and Zach Metza. And one guy to watch for tonight is Michael Kesselring. He has been battling injury all year long. He did make a comment before the break about how he doesn't believe he'll be 100% for the remainder of the year, that he'll be dealing with it the rest of the way. It sounds like the type of injury where maybe he should have surgery, but he's putting it off because he doesn't want to be ruled out for the year and he wants to be there for the team and wants to play in the playoffs. So he's going to play through whatever he's got. I don't even know exactly what it is. Hockey typically don't get specifics. Whatever it is, it's been limiting him. And does 2 weeks rest help him, or is there no helping him? It can't hurt, I would think. So does he look like a different player at all out of this 20-day break that they had is something that I'll be watching for today. Can he just be a guy that can play 14 minutes on your third pair and feel good about it? Because more often I felt like he's a guy that'll play 14 minutes and I think, he should be playing like 10. You should be taking minutes away from him, not adding them. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on. New Jersey, not a great year for them. Their lineup, what type of threat they are, what the odds say about the game tonight, and also bet of the night, plus what's happening out of town. Massive news on Sidney Crosby today to get to, too, coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. If you have ever wanted to experience a championship game, a championship series, I went to the World Series last fall, and it was, I'm not even a big baseball fan. Like, baseball ranks 4th or 5th for me on the sports hierarchy, and it was the greatest sporting event I've ever been to. So maybe you're like kind of an NBA fan or even a huge NBA fan, and you always dreamed about, like, I wonder what an NBA Finals game would be like. Now's your chance. FanDuel's giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. So here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future. You'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. And that'll include flights, tickets, and the entire experience on FanDuel. So grab your futures. I like Denver. Whether it's picking a team to win the championship, grab a conference title, it'll add that extra layer of excitement down the stretch here. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Again, use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you're entered for a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, the Devils are the opponent on Wednesday night in Newark. Never really had a lot of interest in going to a game in Newark. I have been daydreaming about a Buffalo-Montreal playoff series since our episode yesterday, and just getting a busload of Sabre fans together and going up to Montreal for a road game. Like, Jeremy White and Mike Schopp used to do that for the Carolina games in 2006. I want that for Montreal. Jersey, if they played the Devils, I wouldn't be as into that idea. They won't play the Devils in the playoffs. In fact, you go to hockeystats.com, I don't even think they're listed in terms of teams that the Sabres could meet once we get to playoff time. I mentioned how Montreal's 34% chance to be the Sabres round 1 opponent. The Devils are not even listed. They're below 0.1%. Let's put it that way. They are having a bad year. I think their year was kind of blown up by their chase for Quinn Hughes, or at least that's the excuse that I've seen made for it, that the group kind of got thrown into shambles because Guys were learning that they were parts of trade packages for Quinn Hughes, and they went all in for that guy and then didn't get him. I mean, it kind of sounds like excuse making to me. I like that team. I like the talent on that team. I like Jack Hughes a lot as a talent. I like Timo Meier. I like Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes. There are a lot of players with a lot of talent on that team, and they've had great seasons, right? Like they have made the playoffs whenever they have been healthy, and the only times they ever have really looked poor, whether that's in a regular season when Lindy Ruff got fired or last year in the playoffs against Carolina, is when their best players have been missing. Like when Jack Hughes is in the lineup, it's usually a great team. Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, two other players I should have mentioned. Like I like those guys a lot. That's their top two scorers on the year. But this year, you had that freak injury to Jack Hughes early on in the year, and they lost a bunch of games when that happened. He had like a cut on his finger, or maybe even like cut, like bad cut. Knocked him out for months. And in goal, they're not getting good goaltending from Jacob Markstrom this year. An .882 save percentage on the year is putrid from a guy that has been relied upon to be their number one guy. This year, it's kind of a split between him and Jake Allen. Jake Allen's been a little bit better. So what you'll get tonight, by the way, is Jake Allen. Jake Allen has been the better of the two. So I wish you were getting Markstrom. Markstrom did play in the Olympics for Sweden a little bit. He played in that game against Team USA. So anyways, that's what you're getting for the Devils tonight. In terms of their line combos and the type of threat that they are advanced stat-wise, they are the same as Buffalo in terms of how often they're getting shots, shooting percentages, or not shooting percentages, not that, but expected goals are around the same. But the Devils are not burying their chances, and the Sabres are. And the Sabres are also getting good goaltending, and the Devils are not. And that's with, by the way, these were the two teams that landed the top two free agent goalies. The two last year's free agent class in net was not good at all. The top two guys everyone had ranked going into July 1st was Jake Allen and Alex Lyon. New Jersey retained Jake Allen. The Sabres signed Alex Lyon. And while Allen hasn't been that bad, Lyon has easily been the better of the two. So Sabres get the benefit there of adding a goalie in the offseason and looking a lot better. The top six for me is still very dangerous for the Devils. Nico Hischier, Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, Jack Hughes. Those four paired together in their top two lines. The thing that I think the Sabres have that the Devils do not is depth in the bottom six. The Devils do not have that. They really get run over when, especially that third and fourth line are out there on the ice. And that's one place where I would expect the Sabres to have an advantage in this game. You got a Cody Glass line on line 3 that I think if the Josh Norris line is matched up against them, they should win that battle every time they're out there on the ice. On the blue line, I like some of their guys. That to me is a greater strength of the team. They have not been getting the results this year, I would assume, that they want. Brett Pesce, Hamilton, Dougie Hamilton is in trade rumors. And that's not an idea for the Sabres, but that's a big name, great defenseman over the last few years that they're looking to trade. And this year, he has not been the $9 million defenseman that they paid him to be. I mean, he is an offensive guy that is on like a 35-point pace this year. And when you're getting paid $9 million and you're playing power play minutes, like you got to be doing close to what Dahlin is doing. You got to be approaching point per game total. And that is not happening for him. And he's probably going to get dealt at the deadline, given that they're in second last in the conference. And I don't know what the way forward is for them. Again, they have a lot of talent, and they're falling way short of expectations. So to me, the Sabres are the better team. Analytically, they're the better team. Lineup-wise on paper, they're the better team. In goal, they're the better team. Defense, they're the better team. Forward depth, they're the better team. The only area I would give New Jersey probably the slight advantage is in their top six. I would say in their top six, slightly better, but I wouldn't give them like that in a runaway. Because otherwise, I like what the Sabres have to offer. Okay, when we come back, bet of the night that I love, out-of-town scoreboard, Sidney Crosby, all coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is presented by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and that one position that you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, It's a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the right people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experiences, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate will stumble across your post. And here's a stat, says it all. You know, I like my stats. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching, the more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes, less stress, less time, and more results. When you need the right person, cut through all that chaos, this is the job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Go to Indeed.com/podcast. Listeners of this show are going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get seen that premium status that it deserves. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Back here in the Locked On Sabres podcast, the Sabres are back in action against the Devils. A 7-10 puck drop in New Jersey. The odds are basically even for this game. It is basically a pick'em. Devils are -110. Sabres are -105 at FanDuel Sportsbook. A very minimal, slight edge to New Jersey, but it is basically a pick'em for tonight's game in New Jersey. So there's that. And part of that is Sabres are seen as the better team, but you're on the road, so you get a little bit of an evening out there. I do not like any of the Tage Thompson bets for tonight. One of the factors is I think he's overpriced right now at FanDuel Sportsbook and really anywhere because of his having just been at the Olympics, big star player. He had been hanging around like the plus 180 range for anytime goal scorer before the break. He's at plus 135 for tonight's game. That combined with Lindy said he might not play him as much as he normally does. Less ice time, less opportunity for goals. Krebs on his line has never been my favorite. I don't like it at plus 135. So not going towards Tage Thompson, not going towards anything Jack Hughes related to. I think he's also overpriced because, again, there's an Olympic factor and people want to bet on the guys that just won. And when you're reading into who people want to bet, generally that's not the guy to go for. So I'm looking around and I'm looking at the goal scoring props and I'm thinking about the line combinations and who plays power play. And I see Noah Ostlund. Noah Ostlund, anytime goal, is plus 600, which is below Peyton Krebs at plus 470, below Rasmus Dahlin and Ryan McLeod at plus 430. It is almost twice the odds that you're getting for Jack Quinn to score a goal. But that's not my bet of the night. I want to take it a step further. For some reason, the gulf to score 2 goals in this game between Noah Ostlund and a lot of the other Sabre forwards is almost, the difference is almost twice as much for almost everybody. Some of them, it's even better than twice as much. Noah Ostlund to score 2 goals in this game is plus 8,000. That would be a $10 bet to win 800 if you're not a bettor and know what those odds mean. 10 to win 800. Part of this is I like the player a lot. He's a good goal scorer. He's got a nice shot. He's playing on a line tonight with 2 good line mates in Josh Norris and Josh Doan. Norris can drive the play through the middle. Him and Ostlund can kind of rotate doing that. Doan does a lot of the dirty work. Ostlund, and he's a good playmaker. Ostlund's got a nice shot. I can totally see him capitalizing on some grade A scoring chances in this game on a talented line offensively. I mentioned how the lines in the matchup forward-wise stacks up tonight. If the Sabres are going to match up Ryan McLeod with one of the skilled lines of New Jersey, which is often what they do, and the Tage line is, I guess last shift goes to the home team, right? So it doesn't have to work out that way, but who's getting matched up with the Norris line? I think there is a good chance that it's that Cody Glass line, the third line or even the fourth line of New Jersey. We'll see. I mean, that's kind of a guess, but that doesn't even matter as much to me. Ostlund's with 2 good line mates and gets some power play opportunity. Second unit more likely today. Plus 8,000. Why would a $10 bet for Ostlund to score 2 goals pay 800 and Peyton Krebs it would pay 450? I get that Krebs isn't playing with Tage, but the difference shouldn't be that wide. Dahlin to score 2 goals tonight, plus 4,000. You get twice as much for Ostlund. Jack Quinn to score 2 goals, also plus 4,000. 10 to win 400. Ostlund 10 to win 800. Twice as much. I'm not arguing he should be above all these guys, but to be twice the odds makes him mispriced, in my opinion. That's my bet of the night. I love it. It's the highest bet that we've done all year on bet of the night by the odds. I've looked back and I could not find a bet that was greater than plus 8,000 odds. That's what we're riding tonight. That's what we're riding. Plus 8,000, Noah Ostlund to score not 1, but 2 goals on the night. It probably won't cash, but I like the price too much. And, on the off chance we do hit, 1, it'll be remembered forever. 2, we'll be in the green for the rest of the season by far. So that's what I'm going for tonight. I'm swinging big out of the break. Huge swing out of the break for the fences. Finally, scoreboard for tonight's game. What you should be watching, keeping an eye on, and rooting for. Good news is there's an Eastern Conference game at 7:30. So there's another hockey game you can watch on TNT during the intermissions if you want. But we'll start with the other one. 7 o'clock, Flyers and Capitals. That's an easy one for me. You're rooting for Philadelphia. Philly's already being talked about as a seller. Washington is one of those teams that are 5 points back of Buffalo. So you're rooting for Philly. They're on the road tonight in Washington. The other game involving teams in the Eastern Conference, Toronto and Tampa. That's the 7:30 game. That one to me is also an easy, who do you root for? You root for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Except they're going to win the Atlantic. It's going to happen. Let them run away with it. It doesn't matter. And Toronto, I'm not really that concerned about Toronto. I don't think they're going to make a run here, but they're 7 points out. And they do have some talent still. Is it possible they can make a run? Yes, which is why there's no benefit really to me seeing Tampa lose. There is a benefit in kind of killing Toronto, keeping them down, and making sure that they don't, start to believe going into the deadline that they can catch Buffalo or Boston or any of these other teams. So rooting for Tampa tonight in that one. All right, that'll do it for us today here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. Enjoy Sabres and Devils. Enjoy Sabres hockey being back, and we'll talk after it's over. Hopefully after a Sabres win, they go into the night 5 points up on a playoff spot. We'll see if they're 7 by the end. Talk to you tomorrow here in the Locked On Sabres podcast. If you want to hang out with us during the game, get into our Locked On Sabres Discord. You can find that over and get ad-free versions of the show as well by signing up at lockedonsabres.supercast.com. Get in now, free for the next month. Use the code DEADLINE. If it doesn't pop right up for you, it should. lockedonsabres.supercast.com. Talk to you tomorrow here in the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now your number 1 sports podcast network.